I'm here with Matt Moneymaker, the whole brains behind the whole Bigfoot project, correct?
Yeah, well, I'm the head of the BFRO, Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization.
For years, Matt Moneymaker was one of the most well-known names in the Bigfoot community. He was the man behind the famous TV shows, the public talks, and the endless debates about whether or not Bigfoot was real. But then, something strange happened. Matt stopped posting online. He stopped showing up at events. People close to him said he had seen something he was never meant to see, something near a closed-down military base that changed everything. Now, after years of silence, Matt is ready to talk. What he's about to share has never been told publicly. He says it could explain why people keep vanishing near that mysterious base. Before he was ever a TV personality, before the fame and the memes, Matt worked behind the scenes as a researcher for the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, or BFRO. Deep in their old files was a single document with a red line and a date, 1997. It mentioned a place called Fort Cinder Point, located somewhere in the foothills of the Pacific Northwest. The official story was simple. The fort had been shut down after a fuel leak. But locals laughed at that story. They said the fort hadn't closed. It had gone underground. Over the years, strange stories came out of those woods. Hikers claimed to hear low, rumbling sirens echoing between the trees at night. Truck convoys with no windows were seen driving through forest roads at strange hours. And every so often, the forest would go completely quiet. No birds, no insects, no wind. For expert trackers, silence like that wasn't peaceful. It was a warning. At first, Matt ignored the reports. He'd seen plenty of hoaxes and tall tales before. But these stories kept coming in, and they all had something in common. Witnesses described seeing tall, upright figures in the trees that moved like people. But when light touched them, they dropped to all fours in an instant. It wasn't how bears moved. It wasn't any animal behavior he knew. So Matt decided to investigate the area himself. No TV crew, no producers, just him, a thermal scope, recording equipment, and a map showing where the reports came from. When he reached the edge of the supposed decommissioned base, he found two fences. The first was old and rusted, but behind it stood a second one, freshly built with sharp, new razor wires shining in the moonlight. The forest around it felt wrong. Trees didn't grow straight. They bent slightly inward, as if something underground was pulling them. Matt set up his first audio recorder. 10 minutes later, a faint metallic hum started under the soil. It wasn't the sound of wind or water. It was mechanical, like a machine running deep below the ground. Then he found footprints. 6 of them, pressed deep into soft clay. Each print was far deeper than his own boots and spaced too far apart for a human stride. They weren't bear prints either. The toes turned slightly inward, something only found in primates, not North American wildlife. As he was recording them, a double-tone siren echoed through the trees. The sound made the forest tremble. For a few seconds, it was as if everything obeyed an invisible command. Then silence, and then an answer. From deep in the woods came a low, vibrating sound that Matt could feel in his chest. He lifted his microphone. The sound responded in rhythm to the siren, almost like it was communicating. And it wasn't alone. Matt crouched in the mud, eyes locked on the dark tree line. Nothing moved, no wind, no rustling. But then the shadows started shifting, slowly, intentionally. Something was moving between the trees, deliberately hiding itself. Through his thermal scope, he scanned the forest. At first, only small animals appeared. Rabbits, birds, heat from rocks. Then in the upper edge of the scope, he saw it. A tall, upright figure with a narrow head and hunched shoulders. It swayed from side to side, almost as if it was testing the light. When it realized it was being watched, it went completely still. Then its head tilted, slowly, intelligently, like it was studying him. 2 more shapes appeared behind it, their heat signatures overlapping. Their limbs were too long, and their knees bent backward, just slightly wrong for any known animal. Matt whispered a sound he'd used before on Bigfoot expeditions, a whoop, just to test a response. What came back wasn't a whoop. It was 3 quick clicks, followed by a deep, vibrating tone that made his microphone crackle. The air stayed still, but the trees shook. Then from the other side of the woods, more clicks came back. A pattern, a language. Then came the most disturbing thing he had ever seen. The 3 creatures dropped to all fours, but not like animals. Their torsos didn't bend. Their joints rotated, folding like metal hinges. It looked mechanical, yet organic. Matt froze. Predators only drop like that for one reason: to advance. Before they moved, the siren sounded again. shorter this time. All three creatures stopped mid-crawl, looked toward the base, and then, as if following an order, vanished into the dark. Matt finally exhaled. When he lowered his scope, he noticed something else. Footprints, human ones, fresh, leading deeper into the woods. They weren't random. They formed a perfect spiral. Predators walk in straight lines. Researchers walk in spirals. Someone had been studying these creatures. Matt followed the trail until it led to a ridge overlooking a concrete trench. Metal grates lined the trench, and cool air puffed up through them like something breathing. Beneath the grates, sealed black bags lay stacked. Long, body-sized bags with shapes pressing from inside. Some had claw marks stretching outward. Then a voice came from behind him. "Don't move!" A man stepped out of the shadows wearing brown fatigues. Not a soldier, more like a contractor. His flashlight shook slightly. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. His eyes darted toward the tree line, not looking for Matt, but watching for something else. Matt asked what was in the bags. The man hesitated. "They're not Bigfoot," he said finally. "They're subjects. They're not breeding. They're adapting." Before Matt could ask more, the siren wailed again. The contractor flinched hard. "We triggered a sweep," he said. "If they see two heat signatures instead of one, they coordinate differently." He shoved a folded map into Matt's vest pocket and whispered fast, "There are tunnels. Don't stand near ventilation. Don't talk. If you hear clicking behind you, don't move." They listened first. Then the man backed away into the dark. "And if you ever wake up and see spirals outside your house," he said, "don't run. Running means you're ready." A heavy sound came from the forest. Something massive was moving closer. Matt ran. As he did, he heard the siren echo again. And this time, something under the earth answered with 3 slow taps. Tap, tap, tap. Matt didn't stop until the trees thinned and moonlight cut through. He turned off his light and let his eyes adjust. Then halfway up a hill, he saw it, a tall figure standing between 2 leaning pines. It wasn't covered in fur. Its skin was pale, smooth, almost translucent. It tilted its upper body sideways, like its spine was built differently. When Matt made a soft whooping sound, the creature mimicked it instantly, perfectly. But the tone had layers, like 3 voices speaking together. From deeper in the forest, another sound came. A rolling grunt, then the crunch of branches. A second creature was coming. The first dropped to all 4s again, smoothly, like it was unfolding instead of bending. Its face turned last. The movement delayed, unnatural. When Matt lifted his thermal scope, what he saw chilled him. The creature's skin wasn't warm. It was patterned with cold spots like metal fused into flesh. And when it blinked, its eyelids didn't move sideways or up and down. They closed inward from both sides. Then with a crash of branches, another one appeared, crawling down a tree backward, its limbs twisted in impossible angles. They both stopped, and then the siren echoed again. Both creatures turned toward the sound at the same time and retreated toward the base, obedient, controlled. In the quiet that followed, Matt's microphone picked up a faint whisper. It wasn't his voice, but it came through his recorder. "You shouldn't speak." Matt didn't sleep that night. He went straight home, still covered in mud, shaking from what he'd seen. He downloaded the recordings from his microphone and looked at the sound waves on his laptop. The siren appeared clearly, 2 sharp peaks. Then came the strange layered sounds from the creatures. He played the file again and again. The pattern was too perfect to be random. It wasn't animal noise. It sounded structured, like language or coded signals. When he slowed it down, he heard low rumbling tones that were almost below human hearing. When he sped it up, he found overtones, tiny, sharp frequencies that only primates could make. But underneath both was something else, a faint metallic rhythm, almost like breathing through a machine. Matt sent the file to an old friend, an acoustic analyst who owed him a favor. Hours passed. Then at 3:14 a.m., a message popped up on his screen. "Delete this now." Matt called immediately. The analyst answered in a whisper, sounding terrified. "Matt," he said, "these aren't vocal sounds. They're commands Matt didn't understand." "Commands for what?" he asked. "The sirens signal something underground," the analyst explained. "The creatures respond with codes. They're checking in." Roll call. Matt's stomach turned cold. "Roll call for what?" he asked. "They're reporting locations," the analyst said. "Every time that siren sounds, something counts them. Checks they're still in place." Before Matt could ask more, the analyst's voice dropped lower. "Your recording caught another sound. Pressure patterns from a throat that splits in 3 sections. Then the man said something that froze Matt completely. "You're not the first person to record them. Someone's been tracking these signals since 1998. Every time there's a power outage near Fort Cinder Point, the siren sounds and sightings spike. The responses get faster, more coordinated. Like a system learning." Matt begged him for proof. "Send me the files," he said. "I can't," the analyst whispered. "The moment I tried exporting them, my computer crashed. Blue screen. Then my webcam turned on by itself. The line went dead." Matt played his audio again. At the very end, almost too quiet to hear, there was a faint tapping. 3 slow knocks. Tap, tap, tap. He paused the file. The tapping kept going. It wasn't coming from his speakers. It was coming from his window. Matt froze. He walked slowly toward the curtains. On the glass were 3 deep marks pressed into the condensation. Not fingerprints, not claws. Something in between, like pressure from teeth. Beneath them, drawn into the fog, were 3 vertical lines. The same pattern. The next morning, Matt tried to calm himself down. He made coffee, sat at his computer, and opened the BFRO database. But something was wrong. Every single report from the Fort Cinder Point area was gone. 20 years of records vanished. When he tried typing the direct URLs, he got error messages. Page not found. Then when he searched Cinder Point, the suggestion turned red. Read restricted. Even veteran investigators didn't have access to restricted tags. That meant someone far above BFRO's normal system had changed it. A few minutes later, Matt's phone rang. It was another field researcher. His voice was shaking. "All my reports from that region are gone," he said. "Even the witness names. And Matt, 2 of the witnesses aren't answering their phones anymore." Witnesses don't just vanish. Matt went on Twitter to post what was happening, but when he opened the tweet box, the screen flickered and froze. His account logged out by itself. A message appeared. "Your activity violates protective review." He wasn't banned. He was being silenced. Then came the calls. Unknown numbers. When he answered, there was no voice, just breathing. Not normal breathing either. Mechanical, layered, like air moving through multiple chambers at once. One of his old colleagues called, whispering, "Matt, stop, please. They're monitoring our devices. We all had to sign NDAS. We're not supposed to talk about Cinder Point." That evening, a package appeared on Matt's porch. No return address, no stamps. Inside was a printed stack of his own emails, private drafts that had never left his laptop. At the bottom, written by hand, was a note. "They adapt to behaviors. You are predictable." That night, Matt saw movement near his backyard fence. A tall shape stood just beyond the light, leaning forward like it was smelling the air. Then came the sound. 3 clicks, pause, 3 clicks. He switched on the porch light. The figure didn't run. It just leaned backward, folding into the dark, its limbs moving like hinges. When he went back inside, he saw new condensation on his window. The same 3 dents, but this time beneath them, smeared in a finger-like streak, were the words, "Run equals permission." That night, Matt didn't sleep at all. At sunrise, he drove 2 hours north to meet the investigator who had called him. The man looked like he hadn't slept in days. He didn't speak, just pointed toward the woods. The forest was silent again. Inside his cabin, the investigator pulled out a hard drive wrapped in foil. "They can hear electronics," he whispered. "They mimic power signals when devices are idle." He plugged the drive into a battery-powered laptop and showed Matt footage he'd captured the night before. The video showed a metal grate at the base perimeter. Steam rose from it, then stopped suddenly, like someone had held their breath. Then something emerged. It didn't climb, it unfolded. Vertebrae clicked into place with machine-like precision. Its skin looked smooth, but patterned with dark grooves, almost like vents. Then the video glitched. 3 black frames appeared, each one showing the creature closer to the camera, though it hadn't visibly moved. The investigator slammed the laptop shut. "It doesn't move when watched," he said. "It moves when observed." Matt didn't understand. The man explained, "Their movement depends on awareness. The moment you blink, flinch, or feel fear, they advance. They don't exist in our time the same way." The cabin lights flickered twice. Then far away, that double-tone siren echoed again. The investigator's face went pale. "Power cycle," he whispered. "When the grid resets, they migrate. They're not escaping. They're released." The woods outside rustled, but not like footsteps. It sounded like something moving through space itself, splitting air without touching it. Matt grabbed his bag and ran for the truck. As they reached the road, the siren blared again. Shadows stretched unnaturally long across the dirt, bending as if the light itself warped around them. Then came the vehicles, black SUVs blocking the road ahead. Men in plain clothes stepped out, hands raised. Not attacking, not threatening. One of them approached the driver's side. "We're not your enemy," he said quietly. "We're containment logistics." Matt demanded answers. "They're not aliens," the man said. "They're not animals either. They're a rejected branch of evolution. We kept them underground because surface radiation changes them." Matt frowned. "Changes them how?" The man's eyes dropped. "It makes them learn faster." He handed Matt a sealed envelope. "Don't open this until the siren stops. And don't go home tonight." Then he leaned closer. "You weren't supposed to record the return sequence." Matt froze. "Return sequence?" The man nodded slowly. "Surface harvest. They don't hunt individuals. They collect patterns." As Matt's truck pulled away, he saw condensation streaks on the SUV's windows. 3 vertical lines, just like the ones on his glass. When the siren finally faded hours later, Matt opened the envelope. Inside was a single sentence. "They remember by sound. They choose by silence." He looked out through his windshield. Pine needles on the road had arranged themselves into 3 spirals. Matt hasn't been back to Fort Cinder Point since that night. He moved to a new address, changed phones, deleted every social account, and tried to disappear. But it didn't help. Sometimes, when the power dips in his neighborhood, he still hears it. The clicking through the vents. 3 taps, followed by 3 more. Answer and response. Neighbors nearby have gone missing. Pets refuse to go outside. Spiral patterns appear on porches overnight. Matt's warning is simple, and it's the reason this documentary exists. If you ever hear the double-tone siren, do not speak, do not move, do not run. Because when the surface power cycles begin, the watchers aren't hunting flesh. They're hunting recognition. And once they know your sound, they never forget.